right, guys, how's it going? It's Cryptocurrency Education again with Yasser Gomes. He actually runs a cryptocurrency group called Crypto Nomads. We're teaming up. He does TA, I do my thing, and give you guys more of what you're looking for. So check out his group, Crypto Nomads, on Facebook. This is Yasser, and we're going to talk today mostly about the market, a little bit about mining, and obviously some technical analysis about what happened with Bitcoin. Was it manipulation? Was it not? Was it bots? Was it not? And with ETH, is this shit going to die? Well, let's find out. How's it going, Yasser?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Good, man. Everything good and going well this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me back on the show one more time.
Absolutely. It's awesome. Anytime.
Yeah, no. Obviously, looking at these markets, looking at the comments, checking out social media, people are going nuts. People have just started losing confidence. And there's a perfectly good explanation for everything, I just wish people actually took the time to take a step back to try and understand from a holistic perspective, instead of getting drawn into the everyday social media, checking your wallets every single day and getting into that like curled up stress as crypto's gone to shit and you're going to lose all your money. And, there's a cycle. There's a cycle involved, like any stock, like any market. And we'll get to that through me or through the TA that I'm going to show you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. So the other day, Yasser and I, we were having a little bit of a debate, not like an argument, but more of a debate about the effects of mining on Bitcoin prices. And I was saying that basically miners can't let it get down, even though technical analysis shows us it should get to 4,500. I said miners won't let it happen. They'll keep pumping the price just because they don't want to mine at loss. Difficulty has increased over 12% over the since August 26th, about 2 weeks. And so because of that, it seems really odd because mining difficulty is supposed to adjust and it keeps going up. I think Bitmain and all these big organizations are mining it still at a very high rate. And even though Bitcoin's dropping, it doesn't matter. But at what point, in my mind, and a lot of other people that mine in their minds, at what point do miners turn off their machines? And we've already seen Hashflare turn off their machines and cancel their contracts. It could happen again, even though they started them up again. So this is an aspect that we don't have in normal technical analysis in other markets, and something that I want you to kind of chime in on. You said sometimes like it doesn't really matter. I think for it to drop super low, that's the only time it really matters. For other things like other technical analysis wise, I personally don't think at all that it has anything to do with it. But what's your opinion on how mining could potentially affect TA on the way down, especially when that difficulty reaches the I'm going to break even or start losing money to mine?
I hear you. Okay, so first of all, obviously it's very, very difficult to try and figure out break-even analysis, without any costs whatsoever. Now, for the bigger guys like the Genesis and the Bitmains and those types of guys, I don't see, me personally, but I mean, again, I don't know the costings involved, but nonetheless, I don't see, a $500 drop or $1,000 drop, cause a huge issue, to their financial output at the end of the month. But in terms of independent miners and the ideology behind blockchain actually being decentralized, then starts to raise the question as to how decentralized are we now? Because all these independent miners who simply cannot afford to pay these electricity rates are now shutting off. So for me, it's a question of that rather than profitability, in the bigger scheme of things. But again, I must reiterate that it's very difficult to pinpoint what their break even is. If the guys have thousands of machines running in the middle of Iceland where there's no electricity costs, Bitcoin can go to $100 and they'll still profit. So I mean, I might be totally wrong in saying that. I mean, I'm not a technical guy when it comes to the whole difficulty rates in the minings and that type of thing. I am a miner myself, and I have actually switched off my miners as well, just so everyone knows that and understands that. So they come from a different sort of perspective. But that's also because the electricity costs were raised where I was mining.
Right.
So, from an independent perspective or miner, sure, it doesn't make sense to mine, and that might cause, a small issue. But for the bigger guys, if they're running thousands and thousands upon thousands of miners, I just don't see how it'll affect. Listen, if it drops down to maybe $1,300 or $1,800, maybe at that point we'll have an issue. Not everyone's going to be mining in Iceland. You know what I mean? So that's my perspective.
Okay, well, here I'll give you some statistics. The average cost worldwide to mine one Bitcoin is about $6,000 on average, regardless of machines you have or electricity, wherever you are in the world. The average is that. And right now, at the current price, about 85% of the countries that are technically on the list of mining are not in profit. They're going to lose lots of money to mine. So they're not going to be in profit. So you're going to have the big giants. I agree. You're going to have Bitmain. You're going to have Genesis. You're going to have these Antpool. All these guys are going to still mine. But the thing is, to run those miners has a cost. You have to pay for $500-$600 per miner. You have to pay for the electricity. You have to pay for the people to run the back end. You have to pay for all that. And then on top of that, you have to pay for the actual Bitcoin. So even if you're in China, in the rural places that they have a lot of these things set up, they're still paying almost $4,000 for one Bitcoin to be made. That's not including the cost of the equipment. So if you add in all that plus rent and warehouse to actually have it all in, even in the cheapest places in the world to mine, they're still just barely making profit right now. And so that's the issue. Now, if you were mining on your computer today in 2009, you would be making probably a few hundred Bitcoin every couple of days, and you'd be very, very wealthy. So as that increases, this is the issue that we're going to run into. And this is why I said what I said. I wasn't saying it to spite you or anything. I was just saying it because technical analysis is right, and it should do that. But when you add in that mining cost, and if it goes to 4,500, most of the world is in loss. Who is going to keep those machines on? If Bitmain, it costs them millions of dollars a day to have those machines on. So are you going to lose millions of dollars a day for how long?
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. And this is something that I know nothing of. So
questions
I'm
are
really just looking for education.
Absolutely.
Let's say, hypothetically, every miner in the world, switches off their miner for mining Bitcoin and moves over to, let's say, NiceHash, for example. Start selling hashing power to start mining other coins. And the payment is then in Bitcoin. So there's no new Bitcoin being created, but rather a transaction of Bitcoins to and from. Won't that keep the market cap on par?
No, because the second that all the miners are turned off, who's making transaction fees? Who's making the transaction from one person to the other? We've already seen this during December and January, where people were spending $50 just to send Bitcoin because there wasn't enough hashing power on the network for them to do all those transactions, which is one of the flaws of Bitcoin, is that it doesn't move very easily, but that's the whole function of it, is to be stored, not to actually be sold a lot and bought and sold. But originally it was, but then they realized probably something else like Ripple or Litecoin would be better for that coming in the future. So if they all turned off their miners, when those people tried to pay them Bitcoin, it would be stuck on the network until some miners turned on their miner and actually mined.
Right, of course, because there's no accountant or ledger system actually confirming the transactions.
Exactly. So the whole point is that this would be a massive implication, have a massive implication for Bitcoin. It would just basically kill Bitcoin if that happened. I don't see that happening. But that's the thing that I wanted. And you're not the only trader I've talked to. I mean, one of my really good buddies, Mike, he thought the mining worked completely different. I explained it to him the other day, and he was like, holy shit. And then I was like, so now what's your target for Bitcoin? It actually went up quite a bit to like 59.50 or something. Because he said, when he took into consideration how much it costs around the world, divided by the amount of companies and the miners and all the stuff that he had data for, he said it's about $5,800, $5,900 is pretty much the lowest it can get for them to mine crypto in the world. So he thought, and so did I, that when we got to 6,000, it would jump a lot, and it did. Whether that's the miners or whether that's that's fundamentals. Whether that's the miners or technical analysis said, well, it's going to get down to 6. We're all going to buy at 6. This is where a bunch of people's buy orders were. Maybe that was it too, but we didn't see that before.
I'm going to make a statement that's going to shock a lot of you.
Yes.
Fundamental analysis and fundamentals and news feeds and media and all the stuff that comes in on my feed, on my top right-hand corner on my screen while I'm trading, is something I look at when I have time. Yes. I've never traded off fundamentals. Let me say that again. I've never traded off fundamentals. I only trade off TA. And every single one of my transactions, every single one of my trades are, I mean, everyone has a bit of a failure rate. I mean,
of course.
I don't have a crystal ball, but I can say with confidence that a lot of my trades are positive. Yeah. Let me give you a simple example. 3 weeks ago, I released a video. After we hit that aiming to go to that 7.5, we hit that 7.5. I set my sell order already at the time at $7,430 when the target was 7.5. I always set it a little lower as a trader. So, so I make sure that I get taken out at that price. I knew nothing about Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about Goldman Sachs, but the whole media thing, in the market is, we dropped $800 or $900 in 5 minutes because of Goldman Sachs. My sell order was sitting there because of TA for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm naive to any of these fundamentals or any of these news feeds coming out, but we talk about manipulation a lot in this market. For me, the manipulation is in the media and is in the news. I
agree. I tell people all the time the fake news is killing them.
So, a lot of sure there'll be manipulation. And it happens very, very rarely. You guys, I'm sure remember the Bitcoin Cash the manipulation, last year, or sorry, actually the beginning of this year, when we just saw one vertical candle and everyone thought Bitcoin Cash was the next best thing. And everyone thought that people were running from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash. That was 100% manipulation, no doubt about it. Yeah. And there was no news to actually trigger that. And there was no TA to trigger that either. So yes, there are some cases of manipulation when it comes to actual, pumping funds into a coin. But for me, the more regular manipulation is coming in from these media, feeds.
The good question is, who controls those feeds? Who are the people that are controlling these media feeds, and why do they want us to think what they want us to think?
Now we're asking deeper questions. Now we're asking real questions.
Yeah, these are the real questions that you have to ask yourself. And this is why I do my show, because I want people to see through the bullcrap. And there is so much in the media. You can't really, even Goldman Sachs, I posted it today. One of the people's, I think it was their CFO from Goldman Sachs, said, I can't believe that I'm actually saying this, but basically I was the victim of fake news. It was fake news. And it's just like, that was the day after the first guy. I think it was who was the first? There was 2 people from Goldman that said this. They couldn't believe they had to say it was fake news. The first one, I think it was the CFO. And the second one was a girl who works at Goldman. I can't remember what her role is. And then she said it today. I can't believe I'm working at Goldman. I actually have to use this line, fake news. So yeah, these are things that we have to take into consideration. But I think, technical analysis definitely drives the obviously drives the car for sure, 100%. And you're not the only trader to tell me that this stuff doesn't really matter and stuff. But I do believe that retail investors do look at that far more than they should, and they don't understand technical analysis. And this is why I have you on my show, to kind of help them understand that technical analysis actually matters a lot more than people see. And I could show you so many examples just in my group alone of people saying TA doesn't matter in crypto. And it's just like, what? So
I see that so often, and it drives me crazy.
And that's why I want us to help them understand that it does matter. It does.
Listen, so I'm really happy that you're bringing it up, because I want people to understand from a holistic perspective, or from a top sort of perspective, that when it comes to technical analysis, have a look at the confidence level, number one. The first thing that drives markets is sentiment. If there's no sentiment in the market, what is going to be driving the market movements, from 7.5 to 6.5?
Yeah,
it's 100% TA. There is no other sentiment involved. When we're talking about the end of the year, or 2017 November, people started jumping on that bandwagon because they saw this parabolic climb, or return of Bitcoin, and everyone wanted a piece of the pie. So that was all based on sentiment and speculation. So in no way could TA have predicted that $20,000, was the roof. Market sentiment could have only done that. And simple numbers. So, there is definitely a level of manipulation. I believe it comes in from the fundamentals rather than the TA, although it does come in from TA from time to time, in terms of infections like the Bitcoin Cash example. But, essentially, a lot of the times they will overlap, as well. What are the chances that Goldman Sachs had a trading team, and I'm very sure they do have this, the highly, highly skilled force that are watching the markets like hawks, and they knew that 7.5 was the target, so they released the article next morning, so it seemed like it was them. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know these.
We don't know that. That's the thing. And the big money people that control the media, which there is only six companies that control the world's media. It seems like a little bit, but it's a lot. It seems like a lot, but it's a little bit opposite. And so that's why you can watch the news. And sometimes you watch different agencies. They're the same starting lines, and they're reading the same teleprompter almost.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that I want to bring up just before we get into technicals is CNBC. If you do 95% of the time what they tell you to do, you do the opposite, you actually have a better chance of actually 95% of the time. If you shorted Ripple when they told you to buy it, you would have made stupid money. They told you to buy it at $3.23 or something ridiculous. And had you bought it then and shorted it with 10 grand, you would be a millionaire just from the downward part of the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's another thing I want you to explain quickly, just touch on how people make money when the market goes down. You can make money from shorting a market. I don't think a lot of the people that watch my show, they may know about it, but they don't understand how it actually works. Maybe you can get into like how the shorting works in the markets and how it affects the market actually, because that's a really important part too.
Let's first define the terms.
Yes.
So when you buy, okay, it's like buying anything. All right. So you're not going long. You're buying. You're simply buying a piece of a Bitcoin or a piece of a cryptocurrency or a coin or whatever, or any stock. When you sell, you're selling that stock. Okay. Yeah. When you're going long, you're basically taking out a contract saying or betting with a future point in time saying that Bitcoin is going to be price X.
Yes.
So when you go long in a futures market, you don't actually own Bitcoin. You're just signing a contract that's basically saying that hey, Joe, bro, I'm going to have a bet with you that in a week's time, Bitcoin's going to be worth X amount. I may lose, I may win. If I win, my long position obviously pays me out. If it's the contrary, then it goes short, which is the opposite way. And you believe that now you've taken that contract with me on the opposite side. You basically believe that now against my bet, hey, Yash, I don't think it's going to hit 7.5. I think it's going to hit 6. We then take out that bet. When it comes down to 6, that price then gets triggered and your shorting position essentially, or your short evaluation for the future price or future value of Bitcoin then gets triggered, and that's how you make your money. So in really, really short and very brief terms, how you make money in a bear market, you very simply go on to any future sort of trading platform. There's BitMEX, there's Bitfinex, there's one that I use also called igtrading.com, but that has a whole list of regulated stocks, the New York Stock Exchange, LSE, and that type of thing as well. If you want to become a trader, then I would highly, highly recommend that you start understanding the terms and what it means to go long and go short in the market. But if you're an investor, forget about going long, forget about going short. Look at purchasing coins actually and holding on to them as you would with the shares in any company, and hold them as long as the market movement is in a bull market. If it's in a bear market, be wise in the sense that, I hate the term hodling. I hate it. Excuse my, my passion for that. Very, very simply, I find it quite an immature way of investing. I mean, we basically saying at speculation point, all right, that I believe, I love NEO. Okay, I believe in them and I'm willing to take the risk, but I'm not stupid enough to say that I'm going to buy 100 coins or 200 coins or whatever it is and hold on to NEO for the next 20 years in the hope that the Hongfei is going to deliver what he says he's going to do. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm going to take it by the horns and I'm going to trade it, and I'm going to move. Well, not trade. I'm going to move with the market. So if it's a bear market, I'm going to make sure I'm out. If it's a bull market, I'm going to make sure I'm in. I'm not just going to leave it in there and invest the $20,000, for instance, with Bitcoin and hold it out to $6,000 and say, oh, hey, it's going to be $50,000 by the end of next year.
So bad way to do it. I've been trying to tell these people that for a really long time that it's good to hodl some stuff. I mean, you should have a small bag of stuff you like, I guess.
Bro, hodling, in my humble opinion, should come in when you have money that you're willing to throw away. Okay, yeah. That's the first thing. So very, very cheap coins that are nowhere near coins like Ethos. I hold Ethos, and I've been holding it for some time. I'm holding another one called Rentberry. I'm sure no one's ever heard of it. Those coins I don't even bother buying and selling because they haven't even reached anywhere near its usability. So I'll hold those coins for 10, 15 years because they're not really going to have an impact to my portfolio because I hold I hold such a small value in them, if you know what I mean, or percentage of value.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, if I could give, and this is in no way financial advice, I must make that absolutely crystal clear. I'm just giving, I'm giving my opinion based on fact. I'm not one to deliver, personal opinions because my personal opinion, the market doesn't give a crap who I am, and it's all based on. And the market's not going to move down to 6,000 because I predicted it. No. It's going to move based on TA. And so if any of if any of the guys are going to take anything out of this, it's simply to try and define what your intention is, first of all, in the market, investor, trader, hodler, and move with that strategy with absolute precision.
I think you forgot one person in this market, the Lambo and Mooner. The Lambo and Mooner, bro. You forgot about it. Sorry, I had to do it. No, yeah. So here's a really big thing that's been in the news. A lot of people have been asking like a million questions for me to get someone to talk about ETH. Obviously, it's a really bad movement lately. Yeah. Honestly, at the same time, though,
Jay. Yeah. Sorry, brother. Sorry to cut you. My daughter just walked in, and she's gonna move my concentration.
Okay, no, give a second.
Sorry, guys.
We'll pause it. No worries.
After all.
Yeah, So I'll just start again. So yeah, basically, there's been a lot of people in the market recently. I've been getting friggin' millions of messages from people panicking out of their minds about ETH. Even myself, I feel like, holy crap, it's really low. But at the same time, when I look at it versus all the other coins in the market since December, it's kind of a little bit higher valued still than some of them. Like it's still in the 80 percentile down versus the 95, 90%. So do you see it just kind of fall in the market later? And it will start to kind of jump back up? I mean, we know that ICOs have been liquidating a gargantuous amount of ETH and completely just demolishing the price. What do you think? It's I mean, that's a fundamental side that we can't ignore.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is actually going to come out of ETH? Obviously, technical analysis is going to tell us one thing, but do you think that, dumping, I think it's almost 300,000 ETH since 4 weeks ago, do you think that's really affecting the price? And is it going to come back from that? Or are we going to see what Vitalik said? We're not going to have big bumps up. We're going to see it slowly grow again.
I think he created his own grave.
His own foot, huh?
I mean, by saying what he said. Look, it's always very difficult to talk technicals because it's always up to the technical team to deliver. When we're speaking about that and then how far they can actually deliver what they're going to say they're going to deliver. I will tell you this from a numbers perspective. When everyone was selling out of Bitcoin, Ethereum was holding up far better. Yes. So a lot of people dubbed Ethereum as the opposition to Bitcoin, even though it had a completely different set of utilization services, completely different. So a lot of people didn't understand that. So a lot of people would have taken their market cap out of BTC and stuck it into Ethereum, holding its value a little higher or kind of keeping it, at higher levels versus Bitcoin, where Bitcoin was just plummeting. Yes. So for me, I think Bitcoin was lagging. Sorry, Ethereum was lagging in terms of its descent. And I think what you said earlier is exactly, hammer on the nail.
So basically it's just retracing, and you think that, it might come back because of all these ICOs have already sold out. And now here's what I have a fundamental problem is we have all these platforms now. They're all doing horribly because they're all offering the exact same thing. Do your ICO on our platform. Do you think these platforms like Ethereum and like Lisk and like Neo are going to potentially have trouble because of how much competition they've created within their own ecosystems with each other in crypto? And the second side of that, sorry, I'll let you answer that first because it seems like
bro. So again, it's such a technical question, but I will try and understand. I mean, I'll try and answer that from whatever knowledge I have. They all have different coding issues, and they all have different construction platforms. Now, how many coders and how many digital guys know how to build on Ethereum versus Tron versus Neo? I don't know how much competition they really are to each other based on the different types of coding. I know that Lisk is Java based and that was one of the perks that Lisk had over all the other platforms, is that coders who are coding from previous types of platforms could go straight into Lisk and build platforms off their technology. Now, I don't know how much competition there is amongst each other. It's very difficult to answer that because I'm not a coder. Yep. But look, I mean, Ethereum has done phenomenal at marketing. So let's just make that clear, because the only way I see Ethereum dropping is if Vitalik keeps dropping statements such as the ones that he did. So, I mean, the same thing happened with, what's his name? Charlie Lee. Is it Charlie Lee from Litecoin?
Yep.
Same thing. Exactly the same thing. So, I mean, essentially, these people are creating the confidence levels in their traders and in the investors. And if they come out saying stupid statements, then obviously they're going to lose confidence.
You think that might be on purpose, so that for some reason?
Very possible. Again, manipulation, very, very possible. Very possible.
I mean, it's speculative, of course. We're not saying it's happening or not for sure, because we don't know. We don't have evidence to prove it for sure. But it's just something that it's just interesting when you hear someone who's a creator of a project say something like that. And, I mean, he said that, and ETH dropped like $25 from 220 to like not even like almost $30 from 220 to like 190.
Bro, when the creator of his own product starts losing confidence or shows, a tiny percent of loss of confidence, it's obvious what's going to happen.
Do you think that I think this is what's wrong with ETH and with a lot of these platforms, is we can't have a sustainable market of ICOs the way that's been. And this is what drives the price of ETH, is the amount of ICOs that use it. And now they're actually getting burned from that because these ICOs are holding it in trend. Basically, here's the biggest issue in the market. ICOs are holding ETH, not putting it into USDT because they need the money, and they've lost tons of money. And there's like countless amounts of projects that have lost a shitload of money because they left it in ETH and gambled with people's investors' money. And so I think now they're trying to get what they can, and they're taking massive losses on it. And I don't know. I think that this is going to be really hard for ETH to recover from when you have, like I said, more platforms like Zilqua and Neo and Lisk and you name it, NEM, and just so many ways you can build your project. It's kind of something that I've been thinking of and going, oh, no. It's one of those things